Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins, logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my video guide on Dimensions and Entropy Floor 6. Now, as you guys may have noticed, this is different from my previous format when it comes to Dimensions and Entropy videos. So the big reasoning for this is now Square Enix is going to be releasing the floors for Dimensions and Entropy one at a time. So that means I do have the time to sit down and actually edit this video out. And that is the main reason. And moving forward, it is going to be like this. This is the format that we are going to go with. But without further ado, let's start this video. Now we'll start this video off with the general tips and guide. Now first off is to use your abilities on Wave 2, 4, and 5. These are basically two mini bosses, or the bosses stage in this particular Dimensions End. Wave 1 and 3 are basically adds, so try to use your HP Attack Plus and your HP Attack Plus Plus on those particular waves. You do want to save your abilities on these particular waves. Try to even them out as much as you can. The next one is do not bring any melee type characters. Do try to avoid this because basically the entire floor 6 is resistance to melee attacks. Now, let's take a look at the characters that you may want to consider bringing. First is Ultimisia, Emperor, Vanille, Setzer, Kryle, Balthier, Deuce, Yuffie, Warrior of Light, Sarah, or Celeste. Now, as for the healers plus great battery options, you have an option between Charlotta, Porum, Rem, Yuna, Lena, Selphie, or Ishtola. Now, for those of you guys who are eagle-eyed, you can probably see that Kate Sith is not included in this particular list, but that is because he is a melee type character, even though he does provide a little bit of regen. Now, one thing I do want to warn you guys as well is I have Lena here in this list. However, she at this point in time does not have her EX Plus weapon just yet. So she is a little bit gimped, but she is still a little bit viable as long as you build around her as well. She is very important in a team composition, especially on this floor, because she can actually prevent a lot of the debuffs that a lot of the boss actually will inflict in your party. And now, of course, for the summon, you do have an option between Ifrit, Shiva, Ramu, and of course now, if you really want to, you can actually bring Brothers Summon as well. Okay, so now let's move on to the general strategies that I've used or have seen in this particular Dimensions and floor. The first wave, try to use your HP Attack Plus and Plus Plus. You do want to save a lot of your abilities for Wave 2, 4, and 5 like I mentioned earlier. Wave 2, the Phoenix will revive once. It does use a lot of HP attacks, and it is mainly AoE HP attack. So if you see an all attack, chances are this is going to be an HP attack. Try to heal through this, or if you have Setzer, of course, you can freeze the Phoenix. That means you won't get hit by an HP attack. Now on Wave 3, only use your HP Attack Plus and Plus Plus again. These are all just adds phase, so we're gonna go ahead with Wave 4. Now in this particular wave, do try to ignore those little weeds and concentrate on the mother weed. The smaller weeds will be revived by the mother weed at times, so killing them is probably not gonna be to any of your benefit. You may want to break them though to make sure they don't hit you with an HP attack, and make sure they just use brave attacks. This is one way to just deal with them. having an AoE attacker, for example, like the Emperor, of course, Ultimecia, they will eventually die out with those AoE splashed attacks. Now moving on to wave 5. Now there are two ways to deal with this particular wave. The first one is to kill Ultima Weapon first. If you have a way to manage the debuffs, such as using Lena to prevent the debuffs, or using Yuna to remove the debuffs from the Malboro, then you may want to kill the Ultima Weapon first. Now of course, if you do not have a way to deal with these debuffs, you may want to kill the Malboro first, and of course if you can actually save your summon for this particular wave, you do try to save it for this one, because if you don't have a way to deal with those debuffs, they can be very annoying and will end up killing you later on, and maybe even wasting a lot of your turns, because they do apply a blind debuff as far as I can remember. Okay guys, let's take a look at some possible party compositions. Let's of course take a look at the video that you guys are seeing. It's Emperor, Rosa, and Yuna with a Shiva summon, and basically the strategy for this fight is basically Rosa is here for a little bit of heal with her HP regen, and of course the very important re-raise. Unfortunately, you may want to avoid actually having to re-raise, because this will definitely lower your score, so do try to avoid actually getting re-raised. Yuna is here again for more healing and removing the debuffs, and Emperor will do Emperor things. Now the next team I have for you guys is basically identical to the first one, with the main difference having Yuffie instead of Yuna. Shiva is still your summon of choice for this one. Again, Rosa is there for the heals, and of course re-raise Yuffie to apply debuffs and steal buffs, as well as passing on those debuffs you don't really like to the boss as well. Of course, Emperor will do the Emperor things like traps and, you know, more traps. Now the next team I have for you guys here is Krile, Yuna, and Celeste with a Shiva summon. Krile is here. She is a great brave battery, and if you need to use those HP attacks to save your abilities, then she is the girl for you. Yuna again is here for the heals and removing the debuffs, and Celeste for some nice tanking. Now Celeste is interchangeable with Warrior of Light, because Warrior of Light basically, even though his HP attack plus is technically a melee attack, at least his throw buckler is range based, so you can definitely bring Warrior of Light. You can add on to his shield so you don't get broken too much. You know, he is still very viable in this particular fight. Now the final team I have for you guys here is Setzer, Emperor, Yuna with the Shiva 40 summon. Basically here, Setzer, you will have to manage his freeze debuff. You may want to use them at least once on wave 2, 4, and of course 5. That is 3 uses for his freeze. Of course, if you want to save a little bit more for later, you're more than welcome to do so. Yuna is here again for heals and removing debuffs, and Emperor will do Emperor things, traps, and more traps. Okay guys, so we're towards the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this fight. Now in all honesty, I did find this fight a lot easier than the previous floors in Dimensions and Entropy, especially floor 5, which I think where I struggled the most. Now obviously we do have a lot more characters to play around with, and of course if you are still struggling with this particular floor and you may want to use a older character that you may have used in the earlier stages, you may want to switch those around and play around with your team compositions. Make sure you can beat this one as well. Now in all honesty, I was too lazy to redo any of the earlier fights in the Dimensions and floors. That's why I just opt out to using characters that I haven't used. So Emperor is the biggest one here. Yuna, I did not use her, so I decided to just use her here. She is very important in this party composition. And of course Rosa as well. She was, I think, the next, I guess the best thing, I guess, in terms of magic DPS or support because I didn't really have anyone else. So the only other option I had was, I do believe, using Terra, which I wasn't really comfortable bringing in dimensions. And I could have obviously used Setzer like I mentioned earlier, and there is a party composition revolving around him. However, I did not actually realize his weapon, even though I do have the book and ingots for it. I just didn't have the extra gil and I was too lazy to farm that. Maybe I will redo this fight later on, but at this point in time I'm just too lazy to do that, and there's a lot more things to do in Opera Omnia right now. So overall, I did find this again fight a little bit more easier, a little bit more manageable for myself anyway. And of course, having Emperor or even Ultimisia in this fight will make things so much easier for you. So if you have saved those characters and you haven't used them, I suggest use them here for now, and maybe later on you can redo a particular floor if you do want to use them for later on. Of course, you do have to be a little bit hardworking and not be lazy like me in order to actually do that. I'm just hoping that the next dimensions end, I will have enough characters again not to actually redo any of the earlier floors. Anyway guys, I think I'll end the video right here. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help my channel grow, and I do want to thank everyone who have subscribed, and we have reached the goal for the month of reaching 1,500 subscribers. And of course, if we can get more, that would be great. We'll make a new goal for next month, and seeing how we look in the trend rating there. So we'll have a look, and of course leaving a like on this video is gonna help with the YouTube algorithm as well. Make sure to follow me on my social media. I am on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below which team did you use to beat this fight. Let me know down there, and if you had to redo any of the earlier floors, let me know as well. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.